Hi teachers, welcome to Values Ed Majorship Enhancement Drills. This is set 6. You can download the PDF format of set 6 so you can print it if you wish. However, if you want to save some papers, you can just do it online. So our goal is to top the board exam. Once again, how to maximize the benefits of these drills. Yep, number 1, download the PDF format or use the online version if you don't want to print it. The questions are available online. And then number 2, answer the questions first and then come back to this video to check your answers. And then you can retake to increase retention rate. The benefit of answering first is that you will be able to find out which areas in your skills and your competencies need more improvement. So answer first before you check your answers and the rationalizations in here. Okay, so you can pause this video and come back here later on. However, if you are already done answering the questions, you may proceed and check your answers and internalize the rationale of each item. And by the way, this set is from the previous actual LET exam, so don't get confused when you see several questions repeated. There are many of them, especially in the later sets, so that's normal and you just have to be consistent with your answers. So in case you are confident with your answers, be consistent. However, if you're not, if you don't know the answer, you can risk and try different answers in the repeated questions. This is part 1 of set 6. Let's begin. Number 1, what does the work-oriented curriculum consist aside from appropriate general education? Letter A, on-the-job training. Letter B, social attitude. Letter C, work activities. And letter D, social graces. Your answer should be letter A, on-the-job training. The work-oriented curriculum in the Philippines, in our educational system, emphasizes preparing students for employment and entrepreneurial opportunities by integrating academic knowledge with practical and hands-on experiences. So, on-the-job training or OJT is a crucial component of this curriculum as it bridges the gap between theoretical learning and practical application, and it equips students with skills relevant to the workplace or in the job market. So, yung option B, social attitude, well, while social attitudes are important for holistic development, they are not the primary focus of the work-oriented curriculum. So, social attitudes might be addressed indirectly through teamwork and interactions during OJT, but are not the central component. Yung letter C naman, work activities. Although work activities are part of the curriculum, they are often school-based simulations of classroom exercises. Simulations or classroom exercises. So these activities serve as preparatory steps, but it lacks the real-world context provided by OJT. Yung letter D, social graces, while soft skills and professionalism are valuable, social graces like etiquette are not the main focus of a work-oriented curriculum. So these are supplementary and often integrated within other activities like OJT or school-based training. So philosophically, pragmatism by John Dewey. So the idea of learning by doing, if you're familiar with that, so underpins the emphasis on OJT. So John Dewey's philosophy advocates that students learn best when they engage in practical, hands-on experiences that mirror real-life challenges. Alright, so the answer is option A, on-the-job training. This is a fundamental part of the work-oriented curriculum in the Philippine education because it ensures that students acquire practical, industry-relevant experiences that complements their academic knowledge and making them job-ready upon graduation. So, number 1 is letter A. Number 2, the best way to understand is to do or learning by doing is Philosophy of Education of letter A, William Kilpatrick, Letter B, Immanuel Kant. Letter C, Thomas Mann. And letter D, John Dewey. Your answer should be letter D, I mentioned in the previous item. John Dewey, a key figure in progressive education, championed learning by doing. So he believed that education should focus on active experiences rather than passive reception of information. Si John Dewey, he emphasized that learning should connect with real-life situations and allowing students to solve problems and engage in critical thinking. Yung letter A, William Kilpatrick, if you know him, he was a follower of John Dewey, and he was an advocate. He advocated the project method, which extends John Dewey's ideas, but it doesn't originate them. Letter B naman si Immanuel Kant. Kant focused on rationalism and categorical imperative and not experiential learning. Yung si Thomas Mann was a proponent of public education but not specifically learning by doing. Okay, so number 2 is letter D. Number 3, one of Plato's greatest works, which represents a brilliantly argued philosophy, is letter A, the Memo Dialogue, letter B, Politics, letter C, the Republic, and letter D, the Analects. Your answer should be letter C, the Republic. Plato's book, ang title niya is The Republic, outlines his vision of an ideal state and explores justice, education, and the philosopher king. It remains a cornerstone of Western philosophy, and a key text in understanding political theory and ethics. So, yung letter A, the Memo Dialogue, it should be Meno. Kung kay Plato, Meno, hindi Memo. So, this is not a recognized work of Plato, the Memo. It should be Meno. Letter B, Politics, is Aristotle's work, which expands on and critiques Plato's ideas. Yung letter D naman, Analects. The Analects is attributed to Confucius, not Plato. Okay, so in the Republic, Plato discusses how education can create a just society by molding individuals into philosopher kings. So, importante sa kanya, sa concept niya sa politics, yung philosopher king. Dapat ang mga leader sa government, sa politics, ay mga philosophers. Kasi nag-iisip, they love, they are lovers of wisdom. So, they're thinking continuously. Hindi yung nangyayari sa atin ngayon. So, number 3 is letter C. Number 4, objectives in the affective domain emphasize this. Values, creativity, knowledge, motor skills, and the answer is letter A, values. Ang affective domain, as described in Bloom's taxonomy, pertains to emotions, attitudes, and values. So it focuses on the development of a student's character, including their ability to prioritize and internalize values. Yung letter B, creativity, creativity falls under the psychomotor or cognitive domain. Yung letter C naman, knowledge, belongs to the cognitive domain, and letter D, motor skills, sa psychomotor domain siya. So number 4 is letter A. Number 5, who authored this education philosophy? The development of the whole man before he becomes a professional follows the order of natural law and training for character development. Letter A, Aristotle, B, Rousseau, letter C, Democritus, and letter D, Plato. Your answer should be Rousseau. Jean-Jacques Rousseau, in Emile, his book Emile, emphasized the natural development of a child and advocates for education that promotes or develops or fosters moral character and holistic growth before focusing on professional skills. So Rousseau believed that education should follow the natural stages of development. So we call that naturalism. Yung letter A, Aristotle, focused on intellectual virtue but did not emphasize natural law in education. Ang letter C naman, Democritus contributed to ethics and atomism but not educational theory. And yung letter D si Plato, idealism, di ba? Plato's focus was on the ideal society and philosopher kings, not the natural progression of education. So, number 5 is letter B. Number 6. In what educational philosophy is everlasting information taught to the students? The main idea is to stimulate thought-provoking discussions from topics presented in the student. Letter A, perennialism. Letter B, progressivism. Letter C, naturalism. And letter D, essentialism. And your answer here should be number 6 is letter A, perennialism. Yung perennialism advocates teaching enduring ideas and universal truths. So, yan yung mga keywords dapat natandaan mo. Everlasting information. Everlasting. Word of everlasting. So, it emphasizes timeless knowledge found in classic works and philosophical ideas. So, yung letter B, progressivism, focuses on experiential and student-centered learning, not the everlasting truths. Yung letter C naman, naturalism, emphasizes learning from nature, not enduring ideas. And letter D, essentialism, focuses on core knowledge for societal functioning, not the timeless truths. Okay, number 6 is letter A. Number 7, an important education objective in the new constitution, which is appropriate for all educational institutions to inculcate, is letter A, love of country. Letter B, love of family. Letter C, love of self. And letter D, love of teachers. Number 7 should be letter A, love of country. The Constitution emphasizes fostering patriotism and nationalism among citizens. Educational institutions are mandated to inculcate a love for the country, to promote unity and civic responsibility. Yung letter B, importante itong letter B, love of family. So, while important, it is not a constitutional mandate. It's our more on culture and tradition. Yung letter C, this aligns more with personal development than national goal. Yung letter D naman, love of teachers. While respect for teachers is crucial, that's very important, it is not a constitutional priority. Number 7 is letter A. Number 8, what educational philosophy fosters on the policy of no child is left behind? Letter A, essentialism. Letter B, perennialism. Letter C, naturalism. And letter D, progressivism. So, the answer should be letter D, progressivism. Bakit progressivism? Ano ba yung core principle ng progressivism? So, take note that progressivism in education, progressivism championed by John Dewey. So, this philosophy focuses on student-centered learning, emphasizing the unique needs, experiences, and abilities of a child. So, the philosophy aligns with the No Child Left Behind the NCLB policy by advocating for equitable access to education and addressing the individual learning needs of every student. So, that's regardless of their starting point or challenges. Another feature of progressivism is the adaptation to student needs. So, ang progressivism emphasizes adaptability in teaching, especially in strategies to ensure that no child is excluded from the learning process. So, this is evident in differentiated instruction kung ginagamit mo yan. So, where teachers modify content, processes, and assessments to cater to diverse learning needs or styles and capabilities of the students. Another feature of progressivism is it's an inclusive education. So, a progressive classroom seeks to include all students, developing or fostering environments where diversity is embraced and every child has the opportunity to succeed. So, halimbawa, a teacher using progressivist principles might integrate peer tutoring or cooperative learning para suportahan yung mga struggling na students, habang yung mga advanced students naman ay na-challenge, no? China-challenge natin yung advanced na learners. Another feature is alignment with NCLB goals. Yung No Child Left Behind Act, introduced in the United States in 2002, aim to close achievement gaps and ensure that all students, particularly those from marginalized backgrounds, achieve academic proficiency. So yung progressivism's focus on individual growth and societal improvement complements these goals by promoting practices that lift every student. Another, lastly, progressivism also encourages learning that connects to real life experiences, and it helps students to see the relevance of education to their lives. Halimbawa, project-based learning, which is a hallmark of progressivism, might involve students solving community problems and ensuring engagement for all learners. Yung letter A, essentialism emphasizes core knowledge. If you remember previously, rigorous discipline is also another feature of essentialism, and teacher-centered instruction. This is effective, kaya lang, especially sa standardization ng education, yung essentialism, effective siya. Kaya lang, it does not inherently address individual learning needs or equity in the same way that progressivism does. So essentialism's rigidity can sometimes leave struggling students behind. So, mali-left behind yung mga struggling students. So, yung letter B naman, perennialism, focuses on timeless truths and critical knowledge. Classical knowledge, usually prioritizing intellectual development over practical or individualized education. So, its lack of emphasis on accommodating diverse needs makes it less aligned with the No Child Left Behind fallacy. Yung letter C, naturalism, this is associated with thinkers like Rousseau, emphasizes learning through nature and individual discovery. While it values individuality, it does not systematically address the collective and inclusive goals of ensuring no child is left behind in an institutional educational setting. So philosophically and practically, Dewey's progressivism highlights the importance of adapting education to meet students' needs, and he believed that education should be experiential and democratic, so that ensures that all students are engaged and supported, so no child is left behind. Okay, so practical examples in a progressive classroom. If the teacher is a progressivist, a teacher might use formative assessments to identify struggling students and provide targeted interventions, ensuring that everyone keeps up with the curriculum. So schools might implement remedial programs, peer tutoring, or learning centers to support students at risk of falling behind. So, in short, progressivism fosters the No Child Left Behind policy by emphasizing equity, adaptability, and inclusion in education, ensuring that every student, regardless of their challenges, is given the opportunity to succeed. So number 8 is letter D. Number 9, what kind of individual does our school aim to develop through the work-oriented curriculum? Letter A, socially adaptable. Letter B, economy conscious. Letter C, productive. And letter D, well-informed. Your answer should be letter C, productive. A work-oriented curriculum is designed to prepare students to be productive members of society. We can do that by equipping them with practical skills. So number 9 is letter C. Number 10, the Indian icon of non-violence is letter A, Brahma Kumani. Letter B, Mahatma Gandhi. Letter C, Mother Teresa. And letter D, Indira Gandhi. Your answer should be Mahatma Gandhi. Letter B. He is renowned for his philosophy of nonviolence, or ahimsa in Indian language. In India's struggle for independence, so he emerged as the icon of nonviolence. So yung A, C, and D, none of these figures are closely associated with nonviolence as Gandhi. Number 10, letter B. Number 11, materials and program instruction differ in letter A, manner of developing learning, letter B, objectives and length of subject matter, letter C, mode of response and sequence of frame, and letter D, length of time to realize goals. Your answer should be letter C, mode of response and sequence of frame. Why C? Well, program instruction materials are unique because they present content in a sequential and structured manner, often divided into frames. So each frame contains small pieces of information followed by questions or activities requiring a specific response from the learner. So the mode of response, halimbawa, choosing the correct answer or filling in the blank, and the logical sequence of frames cater to the learner's pace and mastery level. So yung letter A, manner of developing learning, while learning is a key focus, this doesn't differentiate program instruction specifically. Yung letter B naman, objectives and length of subject matter. Objectives and content vary across teaching methods, not just program instruction. So yung letter D, length of time to realize goals. So the time factors, or the time factor is learner dependent but not a defining characteristic of program instruction. So number 11 is letter C. Number 12, what is this order issued by the court of competent jurisdiction directed to the person detaining another, commanding him to produce the body of the prisoner at the designated time and place, and to show sufficient cause for holding into custody the individual so detained. So this right is against arbitrary detention. Letter A, subpoena duces tecum. Letter B, subpoena. Letter C, warrant of arrest. And letter D, writ of habeas corpus. So number 12, your answer should be writ of habeas corpus. Number 12 is letter D. Ang writ of habeas corpus protects individuals from unlawful detention by requiring the person detaining them to justify their custody. Dapat patunayan niya na may karapatan siya na i-detain yung tao na yon. So this principle ensures the right to freedom and it safeguards against abuse of power. So this is a cornerstone of democratic legal system. Yung letter A, subpoena duces tecum. So this is a summons. It summons for documents not related to unlawful detention. Yung subpoena naman, it commands a person to appear in the court but it doesn't address detention. Diba? Pagka may mga Senate hearing, may mga pinapatawag sila, pinapasubpoena. Kasi kailangan nila mag-appear sa hearing. Pag di sila nag-appear, hinuhuli sila ng Sergeant at Arms ng Senado para ma-detain. Katulad ng nangyari kay yung sikat na Chinese. Sabi spy ng China. Okay? So you know her name. Yung letter C naman, warrant of arrest, it authorizes arrest but it doesn't challenge detention. So for that reason, the number 12 answer is letter D. Number 13, what is the ultimate goal in organizing the government? Letter A, efficiency. Letter B, access to the government offices. Letter C, accommodation of more people. And letter D, division of labor. Your answer should be efficiency, letter A. Efficiency ensures that government resources, systems, and personnel function effectively to meet the needs of the people or the constituents, yung mga mamamayan. So efficient government fosters trust, reduces bureaucracy, and ensures the fair delivery of services. So yung letter A, letter B, access to government offices is important, kaya lang it's secondary to efficiency. Yung letter C naman, accommodation of more people, it's a goal of inclusivity. The goal of inclusivity is not the ultimate aim of government, organizing the government. And letter D naman, division of labor, it's a means to efficiency, not an end goal. Okay, so number 13 is letter A. Number 14, the natural rights possessed by every individual so that he may live a happy life is letter A, natural rights, constitutional rights, religious rights, or social rights. So, number 14, the answer should be natural rights. Ang mga natural rights are inherent and universal. Halimbawa, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So, this is theorized by John Locke. So, they are independent of laws or governance and essential for human flourishing. Yung letter B, constitutional rights. So, these are granted by laws and it varies across nations. Iba-iba yan, kada country, kasi iba-iba ang constitution. So, yung letter C naman, religious rights, it is limited to freedom of belief. Yung letter D, social rights, it focuses on societal equality but it doesn't encompass all aspects of individual happiness. So, number 14 is letter A. Number 15, they are good sources of knowledge of knowing the values of ancient people. Letter A, anthropological records. Letter B, Sanskrit manuscripts. Letter C, Buddhist temples. And letter D, early codes. Your answer should be letter D, early codes. Ang early codes of ancient civilizations, like halimbawa, Code of Hammurabi, ano yan, 1755 to 1750 BCE. Ano pa? The Code of Ur-Nammu, 2100 to 2000 BCE. Ano pa? Yung 12 tables, 451 to 450 BCE, before the Common Era. These are examples, excellent sources for understanding the values, priorities, and moral principles of ancient societies, yung mga early code. So, these legal and moral codes were written to establish order, to address justice, and to outline acceptable behaviors, and they reflect the cultural, religious, and social norms of the time. Bakit early codes ang best answer dito? Kasi yung early codes explicitly document what ancient societies valued, katulad ng justice, fairness, property rights, family structures, and social harmony. So, halimbawa, yung Code of Hammurabi, so it emphasizes yung batas, halimbawa, an eye for an eye. Diba? A tooth for a tooth. Nasa ano yan sa ano naman yan? Sa Torah, yung sa Pentateuch, sa Jewish law. So, yung an eye for an eye na galing sa Code of Hammurabi, it shows the principle of retributive justice and the importance of proportional punishment. Halimbawa, sa isang tribo, may pinatay doon na isang tao. So, ang bilang ganti, dapat may patayin din na isang tao sa kabilang tribo. An eye for an eye. Tinanggalan mo ng isang mata yung tao, ang ganti dapat isang mata din. Pag tinanggalan mo ng isang kamay, dapat ang ganti isang kamay din. So, ganun yung kanilang retributive justice system sa Code of Hammurabi, somewhere in Mesopotamian civilization. Ano pa? Yung Edicts of Ashoka. So this is 268 to 232 BCE in ancient India. It highlights moral governance, non-violence, and religious tolerance. This is rooted in Buddhist philosophy. So itong Edicts of Ashoka, so these codes serve as primary evidence. They offer direct insights into ancient law, governance, and ethics. So, bigyan tayo ng example of values sa early codes. So, halimbawa ng values yung justice and retribution. So, in Mesopotamian codes, crimes were met with specific penalties, reflecting a value for law and order. Halimbawa, equality naman. So, the 12 tables of Rome, yung another code, yung 12 tables of Rome, name yan ng code, early code. So, it provided a legal framework that applied to all citizens, though in practice, it favored elite Roman citizens. Ano pa? Moral principles dun sa Mosaic Law. Di ba yung sabi ko niya, sa Torah, the first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible. Yung Mosaic Law, around 1200 BCE, it emphasized obedience to God and fairness in human relationships. So, another example, yung social hierarchies naman. makikita natin yan halimbawa sa Laws of Manu. So, another early code, around 200 to 200 BCE, 200 BCE to 200 CE. So, common era yung CE. So, somewhere in India. So the laws of Manu reinforce existing class structures and societal roles. Di ba sa India mayroong mga class stratification, mayroong mga aliping sa gigilid. No, ano yan, yung caste system nila. Anyway, so those are examples of early codes. So why the other options are incorrect? Yung letter A, anthropological records. Anthropological records provide rich cultural insights, but they often rely on interpretation and lack the concrete, codified expressions of values that we can see in legal codes or early legal codes. So, for example, oral traditions and artifacts must be analyzed and contextualized, leaving room for ambiguity. Kaya hindi siya ang tamang sagot. So, yung Sanskrit manuscripts, Sanskrit texts like the Vedas or Upanishads in India are philosophical and religious in nature rather than systematic legal documents. So, while they reflect values, they focus on spiritual ideals rather than practical social rules. Yung Buddhist temples represent religious and cultural practices but are not direct repositories of laws or societal codes. So they provide spiritual guidance and historical context but do not codify values in the same structured way as early legal codes. So 115 is letter D. Number 16. Emotional intelligence is said to contribute significantly, even more significant than IQ, to one's success and happiness in one's career. What consists of emotional intelligence? Intelligence, mastery of self, social relations. So letter A, 1 and 2. B, 2 and 3. C, 1 and 2. And letter D, 1, 2 and 3. Your answer should be letter B, 2 and 3. Emotional intelligence, or EI, involves understanding and managing one's emotions, yung self-mastery, and navigating social interactions effectively. So that's social relations. So that's 2 and 3. Yung intelligence kasi, it's not directly part of EI or emotional intelligence, which focuses on emotions. So number 16 is letter B. Number 17, in what sense is emotional intelligence an ally of values education? Both education and emotional intelligence, blank. Letter A, include education of the heart. Letter B, stop at the cognitive level of learning. Letter C, are moral education. Letter D, are concerned with value transmission. So your answer here should be letter A, include education of the heart. Both of them focus on empathy, self-awareness, and interpersonal skills, which contribute to moral and emotional growth. So, yung letter B, stop at cognitive level. Both go beyond cognition. Ano? Yung letter C naman are moral education. Yeah, EI is not explicitly moral education. And letter D, it focuses on emotional processes actually, the EI. Emotional intelligence focuses on emotional processes. So number 17 is letter A. Number 18. In conscience formation, let us bear in mind that conscience is supreme, and so we have to: number 1, obey the dictate of our conscience. Number 2, develop a scrupulous conscience. And number 3, develop an informed conscience. Letter A, 1 only. Letter B, 1 and 2. Letter C, 2 and 3. And letter D, 1 and 3. So your answer should be letter D, 1 and 3. Obey conscience and develop informed conscience. So obeying one's conscience ensures moral integrity, while informing the conscience ensures ethical soundness and rationality in decision making. So yung number 2, scrupulous conscience can lead to overcritical self-judgment, diba? OA. A scrupulous conscience is a state of mind where someone is excessively concerned about doing what they think is right, even in minor matters. So it can cause people to feel guilty and have an unnecessary fear that they have committed a sin, di ba? OA nga eh, di ba? So number 18 is letter D. Number 19, below are alternatives to an individual whose interest conflicts with those of the group except for one. Letter A, he may form his own group and invite the same people to join him. Letter B, he may seek to change the nature of the group by force. Letter C, he may submit to the mores of the group. And letter D, he may work within the group and change some of its idea. Your answer should be letter B. He may seek to change the nature of the group by force. Bakit? This question, think about it. This question examines how individuals respond to conflicts between their personal interests and the collective interests of a group. While there are acceptable and constructive approaches to solving these conflicts, using force to change the group's nature is an exception or exemption because it goes against principles of cooperation, respect, and democratic decision-making. Yung option B is incorrect answer because seeking to change the group's nature by force violates ethical and social norms. So forceful strategies lead to coercion, resistance, and potential harm, so undermining the group's unity and functioning. Successful resolution of conflicts within groups usually relies on dialogue. Ano kailangan mag-usap, mag-compromise, mag-collaborate, hindi mangpuwersa. So, this is incompatible with the group dynamics. So, groups are founded on shared interests, mutual respect, and voluntary participation. So, any attempt to impose changes through force disrupts this foundation, and it often results in the alienation of group members. So, another reason is the moral and ethical standards. Kung bakit yang B ang sagot. So, using force contradicts moral standards, emphasizing that disagreements should be addressed through peaceful and respectful means. So, this principle aligns with philosophies like nonviolent resistance, diba kay Mahatma Gandhi, and conflict resolution strategies in group settings. Yung letter A, he may form his own group and invite the same people to join. This is a peaceful and valid alternative. So if an individual feels strongly about their differing views, so they can establish a new group that better aligns with their interests. So it allows for freedom of association and respects the autonomy of the original group. Yung letter C naman, he may submit to the mores of the group. So confirming to the group to the values of the group or norms is another acceptable response. While it may involve compromising personal interests, it ensures harmony within the group. So this approach is often rooted in a desire for belonging or maintaining social cohesion. Yung letter D naman, he may work within the group and change some of the ideas. So this is constructive and democratic approach. By staying in the group and advocating for change through dialogue and persuasion, the individual respects the group, especially the integrity of the group, while attempting to address their concerns. So this aligns with participatory leadership and reform-oriented strategies. So philosophically and theoretically, this question reflects group dynamics and conflict resolution theories like social contract theory ni Hobbes, ni John Locke, ni Rousseau. So the idea that groups operate on mutual agreements to maintain order and pursue collective goals. Ang force kasi it disrupts this agreement. So it aligns with conflict resolution strategies ni Thomas Kilmann, diba? Yung options A, C, and D aligns with strategies like collaboration, accommodation, and compromise. While option B represents competing, which is often destructive in group setting. So, given the rational and philosophical basis, the best answer is option B. Number 20. What is achieved when we behave in ways that go beyond meeting the challenges to improve our lives and achieve our goals? Letter A, adjustment. B, self-actualization. Letter C, competence. And letter D, contentment. Your answer should be self-actualization. This is coined by Maslow. Self-actualization refers to realizing one's full potential and achieving personal goals beyond basic needs. So, yung adjustment, adapting, only, when you adjust, you adapt. So, adapting, not improving. So, it's incorrect. Yung letter C, competence, demonstrating skills, not holistic growth. So, competence is just demonstrating skills. Yung letter D, contentment. Contentment is satisfaction. And satisfaction is not striving for greater achievement. So, number 20 is letter B. So, that's the first part of set 6 of our Values Ed Majorship Enhancement Drills. Let's continue in the next video.